Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Bree. I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, and I've been promising you that I'll make it. But so many requests for it, and so I just wanted to make sure that it was done properly. Today we're just going to go over kind of the basics of BPD. Now, I have chosen to interpret these different characteristics with clips from people that you may know. Now, I am in no way diagnosing these people, but merely showing an example of the thing that I'm talking about, just so you can have a visual and auditory representation of the thing I'm talking about. BPD, let's get into it. Okay, so there are a few different traits that characterize someone who has BPD. Now keep in mind, you don't have to have all of these different traits in order to have BPD. And you may have some of these traits and still not have BPD. So keep that in mind. Just because you have some of these characteristics or traits does not mean that you have BPD, borderline personality disorder. Please do not use this for any sort of diagnosis, only for education purposes. So with borderline personality disorder, first of all, I want to say it has a very, very negative stigma. And I want to try to dispel as much of that as I can. I have come across some of the loveliest people who had borderline personality disorder, and there are a lot of really, really great qualities about most people that have BPD. Unfortunately, we're not going to talk about that in this particular video because that can be another video, but I just want you to know that I'm not trying to further stigmatize BPD. I'm just pointing out more of the diagnostical criteria. So the number one thing that most people with borderline personality disorder display is an intense fear of abandonment. Now, this can be a real abandonment or perceived abandonment. And so what I mean by that is actually someone leaving, like a breakup, or if you text someone and cancel for dinner and they think, we're not friends anymore, they don't like me, they're not going to be in my life. That kind of thing. So it's real or perceived abandonment. They have a very, very deep fear of this. The second criteria is something that I think a lot of people are getting confused with DID because it is identity disturbance. Identity disturbance can be part of borderline personality disorder, and it does not mean that you have DID. Let's make that clear right now. People with BPD a lot of times just don't really know who they are. They don't have a good sense of who they are as a person. They may exhibit things like changing their hair color a lot, changing their style a lot, changing their overall look. These are things that are characteristic of someone who's just not quite settled in their own body, constantly kind of looking for that thing that feels right for them. The next characteristic is very, very intense and emotional relationships. Tried calling him all day and I'm like shaking because he keeps texting me these long goodbyes, and I'm so in love with him. Having said all that, I don't ever intend to hurt anyone. I just deleted every single negative video about this guy that has been in my life for the past 3 months. I deleted all the videos about the guy I was seeing for the past 2.5 years prior to that. After I just berate them and say awful things. He just, wasn't returning my calls, and I went on a little snap and ran and I deleted it. Now, again, I could add a lot of things about this that would be very positive. Having an emotional connection to someone, and a very intense emotional connection to someone, is not a problem in and of itself. When it becomes a problem is when we have these very, very large bursts of anger outburst. We have people screaming and cussing, and they'll be out in public and make a scene in front of everyone. These are just examples. A very, very, very intense relationship, not only with their partners, but just the people in their life. This could be friends or family as well. A lot of times people can feel kind of as if they're on a roller coaster, or I've heard the term that they feel like they're walking on eggshells when they're dealing with someone with BPD who has these extreme reactions to things because of their emotions. I tell a lot of my clients with BPD, you have big feelings. You have bigger feelings than most people, and that's okay. It's just what you do with your feelings that matters. Kind of like jealousy. Like, jealousy in and of itself is not inherently bad, but if you're using jealousy to manipulate or control your partner or something like that, then that's where we go into the more maladaptive characteristics. The next characteristic is impulsivity. Now this can come in a lot of different forms. This can come in sexual promiscuity. This can come in excessive gambling, just making big life choices very sporadically or impulsively. A lot of times these issues result in the person with BPD having financial issues, sexual issues, relationship issues, etc. These things have to have a major and impactful negative on the person's life. So these are things not just once in a while you go and buy yourself, you know, go on a shopping spree. These are things that very seriously negatively impact this person's life. The next characteristic is one that makes BPD very serious and very dangerous, and that is suicidal ideation and suicidal attempts. And a lot of times these behaviors can be recurrent with the person. This also includes things like self-harm, cutting, or any form of self-harm. This would be included in this category. A lot of times, because someone with BPD, like I said, has big feelings, and that could be big in a great way or big in a very sad and lonely and depressing way. So a lot of times, to help alleviate some of the emotional pain that they're feeling, they may try to inflict physical pain, or because they just don't want to deal with the reality of what's happening in their life, they use self-harm and or suicidal ideation or attempts in order to move past their pain, so to speak. Obviously, this is very dangerous for a lot of reasons. The mortality rate for BPD is high in regards to mental illness, and so it's something that needs to be taken very seriously. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is when we have someone with BPD, a lot of times they have these big reactions to things. So things that you may think is not a big deal, the person with BPD might think it's enough to self-harm or even commit suicide. So just keep that in mind as well. It's not up to us to decide which situations constitute enough of an emotional reaction from the person in order to do some sort of self-harming. And every case is different. Please keep in mind every case is different. Next category is affect stability or instability. This means their mood can be all over the place. Now, the difference between a mood disturbance, such as bipolar 1 or bipolar 2, and borderline personality disorder, is that this is a very fast cycling mood. So this could be in a period of a day, or this could be in the period of an hour, where they have very highs and very lows. People with BPD a lot of times comment that they feel like they have kind of a tidal wave or a tsunami of emotions that come out. And it's hard to balance that mood and balance those feelings a lot of times. So a lot of times you'll see people with BPD that appear to be overreacting to things. The next characteristic is a chronic feeling of loneliness. And I am going to be forever alone. I go on social media and I take advantage of that platform because people listen to me on here and it makes me feel like I'm being heard. A lot of people with BPD report feeling kind of empty or hollow inside. They look to fill this up with external sources. So that could be loved ones, partners, friends. They look to fill this void inside of themselves by filling it up with other things from other people or other places. This could also involve things like sex, shopping, etc. Things to kind of fill the void. Another characteristic of BPD is intense anger. One of the most stigmatizing characteristics of BPD, I think, is this intense anger that they can feel and show. So when they're feeling this intense anger, they may be screaming, yelling, physically acting out, throwing things. Again, big feelings. So when they're feeling angry, they're feeling really angry. really angry. And this a lot of times is what scares people around people that have BPD, because they don't fully understand, and if the person's not actively going to therapy and working on this anger, it can appear very scary to see someone acting out in such an aggressive, angry manner. This is another time that I've heard people say that they feel they're walking on eggshells in a relationship with someone who has BPD because they're afraid to set them off, because they're afraid of this intense anger that they can exhibit sometimes, and sometimes violence. The next characteristic is being very regretful for their actions. So after having some sort of outburst of anger like this, typically the person with BPD will feel very, very remorseful for it. However, this, again, big feelings, feeling very, very remorseful, may lead to things like self-harm or suicidal ideation. Being involved in any sort of relationship with someone who has BPD can leave people feeling sometimes like they don't know if they're coming or going, that they're just trying to keep the peace. And so a lot of times, sort of like the cycle of abuse, the person with BPD will be very, very apologetic and very, very remorseful for what they did previously to the person. And they do mean it. It is sincere, unlike other diagnoses that we may talk about in other videos. So the last characteristic of some people that have BPD is transient stress-induced paranoia or dissociative symptoms. This can cause someone to have extreme conspiracy theories that someone is out to get, or be completely paranoid, sometimes to the point where they won't even leave their house. Sometimes they can hear voices, so you do have some psychotic elements to this particular part of BPD. They can be delusional, they can think things that aren't really true, and they will think them, again, big feelings, they will think them with every fiber of their body. Now this is when BPD can start to mimic DID because of the dissociative symptoms. A person with BPD under severe stress may, at first glance, appear to be someone who has some sort of dissociative disorder. This is why it's very, very important for someone with BPD to seek therapy, because that's part of the therapy assessment process for us, is to determine, does this person have bipolar 1, bipolar 2? Does this person have borderline personality disorder? Does this person have a dissociative? Or maybe they have a combination of different things. But a lot of these different disorders can mimic other parts of other disorders, but it does not mean that you have DID if you have moments of dissociative symptoms. I want to talk for a second about the effect that having someone with BPD can have on the life of those around the person. I know some very well-meaning people who live with or have someone close to them that has BPD, and all they want to do is help the person. But they may experience problems with communication, again, not wanting to set the person off, not wanting to take a misstep in their approach to the person because of the fear that they will react very, very negatively. But I just want to mention to anyone who is suffering from BPD that there are people out there that want to help you, and if you find a good clinician, they should not be judging you in any sort of way, and they should not be making you feel crazy or that you're the type of person that they don't want to deal with, or the worst kind of patient to have. If you are getting those feelings, or if someone is actually saying that to you, please, please, please find a new therapist or clinician. I beg you. We can also talk later about some of the better therapy modalities for treating BPD. Okay guys, so I'm gonna stop there. Like I said, I could go on for an hour about all of the different things about BPD. It's a very, very complex disorder. What I want you to take from this more than anything else is that people with BPD are normal people. They are just like you and I. They just have really big feelings. But if they go through therapy and work on themselves, they can have very high functioning lives, relationships, and be very, very happy. So please do not judge someone if you know that they have the diagnosis of BPD, and please do not give the diagnosis of BPD to yourself or to others. Okay? There's so much more to talk about, so I will have to make another video, but
Okay guys, this is Editing Bree, and I'm so sorry, but the last part of my video got deleted, or maybe I didn't even film it, who knows, but I have about 15 minutes before I have to see my next patient, so I'm not going to have time to refilm it. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys to please go give someone a compliment today. Someone mentioned that we can't really go anywhere, which is true, but you can still give someone a compliment today. It'll make you feel good, it'll make them feel good. I also have put some topics on here for different BPD related videos that I can do in the future, so you guys should let me know in the comments what you want to see. Have the best day ever, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.